welcome to Massive Capital Girls Society. We're super excited to have you today. We're a tribe of women with different walks in life. We're super excited, but with one mission: to help women create generational wealth and also grow in every single aspect, personally, professionally, and spiritually. So we are super excited for another week.
Yay! Well, today, if you don't know her, you are definitely missing out. We have Miss Julie Roy. She has 25 years experience in triple net leases, portfolio of over 65 million, independently owned. Some examples are Starbucks, O'Reilly, AutoZone, Taco Bell, Family Dollar, Kinder Care, Learning Experience. She owns in a lot of states. My goodness, she's got 2,700 doors in multifamily and 300 million assets under management. I have to slow down when I say that because she's just so amazing. Today we have Julie Roy. I'm so excited. Give it up for our star today.
Woo! Yay, welcome in.
Staying under this crown, FYI. I have ADHD. I can barely stay on my chair. So hello, everyone. Super, super excited to see you all here today. I am coming in from Oahu, Hawaii. Sent my kids to the pool. Shaka and aloha to you all. Married to a Hawaiian, so I get the amazing benefit of coming out here for the summers and having the kids surf and chill, and part of that passive income living, so I definitely want to help y'all understand all the things, but just want to say super thank you to Maria, Brooke, Candice, Jasmine, all you girls for having me here today. And hopefully I can add some value. I'm super hyper, so you can slow me down anytime. This is natural. I only can have 1 cup of coffee a day. That's my limit. And I did have that this morning. And I told them I've been up since 4 a.m. I had a closing this morning of Starbucks, so got that done at 3:30, started emailing and making sure my wires were in. So got all my triple net investors happy this morning, got the kids to the gym, did our workout in the morning, came home, breakfast, got them ready for the pool, shipped them out, did the laundry, cleaned the condo, and sat down for y'all. So that's my morning, and it's like noon. So yeah, that's pretty much our life here. So, but just wanting to say, I'm super pumped to be on, and we want energy in the room. We want feedback. We want y'all to be engaged. If I'm not here to add value, then it's just a waste of time for y'all. So if I can add value and help you today, that's really what will fill. Oops, sorry, I'm recording myself as well on the side here with a fruit bowl. Anyways, that's a whole other story. But I'm here to add value. If I can help you with anything today, put it in the chat. The girls will stop. I'm super chill. Whatever you need, take advantage of it. I'm here for the hour. And yeah, just so excited to be able to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Julie. So you guys know she's amazing. She's been nonstop for the whole day. So we're super excited. So tell us a little bit about how did you started in the entrepreneur journey?
So I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial bug, to be honest. I came from a single mom. She worked 3 jobs. Before that, my parents had a hardware store. We're immigrants. My parents are both from Italy. They moved here first generation. So they were born in Italy, moved here. I'm first generation Canadian, actually. So, but I'm now a US citizen. Well, not a citizen, sorry. I'm a resident. My husband's a citizen. I can't even figure out what I am. But anyways, I'm here. And but so long story short, came from an entrepreneurial background. Obviously, my grandpa left Italy, came to Canada, brought everybody, 18 brothers and sisters, filled a rum running house. We all just worked. We came from a super working, ethical background. Great work ethic. Anyway, so I think I'm kind of bred in generational, I don't even know how to say this, generational entrepreneurship, I guess. So, but around the age of 18, I started working in a Montessori preschool while I was going to law school, which I hated. My mom, of course, you're Italian, so you're going to be either a lawyer or a doctor. That's kind of what you have to do in order to prove their generational wealth and, that they've come to this country and made something. So not super impressed when I quit that path, but we'll talk about that in a second. So I was working in a Montessori preschool before and after school, going to university. It was just like a means of making money. I was always babysitting on the street, 12 years old, working at the market, always trying to bring, get cash for whatever I needed. So I won't make this story super long, but fell in love with the Montessori philosophy and journey and said, I just want to be a teacher. I mean, that's really what I want to be. And my mom was like, you're crazy. You're going to be poor. You're never going to be able to make it. What are you doing? This is a horrible idea, Julie. Horrible. So I was like, well, I'm all about horrible ideas, and I'm definitely about, being the black sheep in the family. I've never, ever followed a path. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be the horrible idea girl. I'm just going to be a teacher. So anyways, I went to school, played soccer in Europe, did a bunch of things in university, but long story short, ended up opening this Montessori preschool in the basement of a church because that is where I could get the cheapest rent after graduation. But I needed money to get these classroom materials. And of course, my mom was like, this is a bad idea. That, she was not really totally on board yet. Let's put it that way. And I was dating my husband, Bo, my husband now. He was just my boyfriend at the time. And I said, look, I want to open this school in the basement of a church. And he's like, okay, well, whatever, like, go ahead. And I'm like, well, no, I need your help. I mean, I don't have any money. Why would I have any money? I just got back from Europe and partying and going to school and doing all the things I'm not supposed to be doing, but I want to open the school. So he's like, well, what are we going to do? I said, look, I found this ad in the newspaper and it said, if you need money, call this guy. His name was Malcolm Banks. Like, whatever, awesome idea. Like, what are we doing? So he's like, Julie, I don't know. And I'm like, look, let's just go and see what he says. So we go, it's downtown Windsor, right across from Detroit. I grew up like literally south of Detroit. And it's a back alley across the street from a McDonald's downtown. It was a burgundy door and it said, don't knock, come in quietly. I was like, okay, we can do this. So my husband and I opened this door and it was like one room, one table with this guy, Malcolm Banks. And he's like, are you here for the money? And we're like, yeah, yeah. And he's like, oh, sit down. And so he says to Bo, do you love this girl? And he's like, yeah. And he said, okay, well, if you don't pay us back, you're going to die. He was like looking at me. I'm like, we got this. Don't worry about it. Just sign the papers. Let's get out of here. So we signed these papers. We get the loan for $25,000. Literally, it was a loan shark. I mean, that was back in the day. This was a loan shark back alley, 19%. Okay. Sign this loan, open this preschool, $25,000, which at that time was huge for me. Like I had zero money, right? $25,000. I don't even think my mom probably had that in savings at that time yet, honestly. So we opened this preschool. I started with 13 children in the basement of the church. By the end of the year, we had over 75. There was no more room. We were filling all the classrooms. We paid the loan off in 1 year. I was the accountant, teacher, nurse, whatever, enrollment specialist. I was all the things. My husband would come after work and mop the floors. He was in school to be a doctor. He'd come mop the floors. We'd put all the shelving away, restart the day in the morning because at night the church used it for other things, right? So anyways, long story short, that's how we started. So anyone can start is basically my point with this. Like we did not come from any huge beginnings or, had all this generational wealth, nothing. What I had was grit, perseverance, an amazing sense of dedication. And I knew that it wasn't an option to fail because first of all, I didn't want to lose my boyfriend to, Malcolm. And I also didn't want to be in a position where I was going to have to owe anybody money after that, right? So it was just an option. It wasn't an option. Failure wasn't an option. And I said, everything will be figure outable. We'll just get this done. So two things I always say, failure is not a failure unless you quit. So it's always a lesson. As long as it's a lesson, it's not a failure. So that's one thing we go by even in our house with our kids. Second thing I would say is that everything is figure outable. If there's a will, there's a way. Like if you actually really, truly put your heart, mind, and soul to it, and you put everything you have into it, it's really hard for you to fail because you are 110% dedicated. Long story short, those schools we turned into numerous locations, platform sites, sold to private equity, bought all the real estate, did it not only once, came over to Omaha, Nebraska, did the whole thing again, bought from an 84-year-old, started with nothing, 300 kids, sold with 1,000, 10 locations, all the sites, all the real estate. My husband, who finally finished school, we were using his payroll, by the way. Every Friday, I'd be like, get home, put your money in the bank so we could pay the teachers, okay? This is where we were at in the beginning. We retired him out. really early in his career. He had a huge practice. He's a child psychologist, amazing guy. I mean, literally, this guy has been by my side through all the things. I mean, he is my biggest supporter, fan, best friend, all the things. So yeah, we have 4 kids together, and he's actually in Ohio right now with one kid who just won Midwest regional state champs. They're going to nationals, and I'm here with the other 3. He'll join me here tomorrow. It's all about teamwork, guys. It's all about having a supportive partner, somebody on your side to take you through all those times where you really feel like that shit's hitting the fan. That happens a lot. We'll talk about that in a minute, but long story.
Julie,
yeah,
we know you. Sorry to cut you off. We know you as you are now. Like, it's nice. Thank you so much for telling that story of where you started, because the Julie we know is a lot different than I think the Julie that started this.
Yeah. And that's why I always want people to know where I started, because you have to begin with the end in mind, guys. Okay. Like, I knew where I wanted to get to. I didn't know all the hows I was going to get to there, but in my mind, I already saw where I was at. I think it's so important to put your placeholder, your vision board, whatever it is, mark that and be like, this is where I need to be in this much time. Give yourselves a timeline, something to look forward to, milestones to celebrate. It's really, really important to keep yourself in your lane, and focused on that goal. And so, yeah, Maria, I love to share where we came from, because I think a lot of people just look at us and like, oh, well, yeah, she's rich. She is this, she is that. Like, I remember when I owned the schools, it was probably the second year, and someone was like, oh, her dad gave her all the money. I'm like, I haven't even seen my dad. I don't even know where my dad is, but we didn't go there. But I was like, that's not how we grew up, right? We didn't grow up with money. And I think people assume when you're in a position like we are now, they're like, right, oh, she had this, she had that. No, that's not how it happened. And I have a point of saying that because it was a lot of hard work, and that needs to be appreciated. That wasn't just, it didn't just happen. So
How did you do that?
Tell that part.
Yeah, because how did you do that? I mean, you always say about being an expert yourself, but you started this, you weren't an expert. So how did you get from just starting Montessori to selling 2 times, building it and selling it?
When I was working for Michelle, she was probably my age then, right? Maybe in mid 50s. I'm going to be 50 in December, but she was probably late 40s, early 50s, let's call it. And she was running a preschool out of a high school. And I was watching all the things she was doing, and I'm like, I can do this. I can do this actually better. And I started selling her program so much. And I was such a good advocate of the program. I was getting parents in, I was increasing her enrollment. I loved what I was doing. I was super passionate about the kids and the philosophy and the method. And I was like, I can do this on my own. And, I was always really careful and respectful, because obviously I was an employee, right? And so when you're an employee, you have to be careful of the lines, and, there's only so much you should do and all the things. But I was like, I am killing this program. Like, and then we needed more space in the high school. And I was like, man, like I'm doing all this and she's making all the money, right? And I'm like, we need to figure this out. And so that's how it started. But I think, how do you become an expert in anything? I think the first thing is you throw yourself 100% into it. Like, I was 100% into it. I was coming early. I was staying late. I was watching all the way that she was teaching the kids. I was listening to the conversations. I was super keen on, hey, like, how can I be the best me in this role right now, right? And how can I be the best value to her in this role? And how can I move myself forward as well, right? And so I think all those are pieces that are applicable in any entrepreneurial journey. Like, I know this is a real estate conversation, but all this applies. Like, being an expert in your field right now, learning all the things. She was a mentor really to me, right? I mean, she was this owner of a school. I saw all of it. I was like, oh, this is all going to be mine. Like, I was picturing all of this happening while I was doing this. So envisioning all that, but putting myself in the practice. I put myself through school. I went to Montessori. I went to the States. I drove every day, 45 minutes to go to the school to get trained. I spent all my summers learning. Like, I really did throw myself in and dedicate myself 100. I'm 110%er, I call it. Like, I'm never in halfway. I'm never in 3/4 of the way. I'm 110%er. And people are like, that can be a lot, and I can be a lot. And I really appreciate that. And I'm the first one who will share that. But if you're not 110% committed, there's going to be somebody that is, and it's not going to be you. And you're not going to be the one getting the leads. You're not going to be the one getting the deals. You're not going to be the one closing the deals. You're not going to be the one coming up with new ideas, because somebody else is going to do that before you. And so if you think you want to be at the top, then you have to push to be at the top, and continue to push and strive and get mentorship and do all the things, investing in yourself, creating amazing opportunities for you, by you. And I think we have to stop giving up on, oh, well, that wasn't meant for me, but was it? Is it? Why is it not? If it's not, is it a you problem? And I think that's what we need to really deep down and think about. Like, am I stopping myself? Do I have enough belief in myself for other people to believe in me? Listen, if you don't believe in yourself, there is no one on this earth that's going to believe in you. I'll tell you that right now. You are your biggest fan, besides maybe my husband, but literally you are your biggest fan, and you're going to make those things happen. No one else. So and I'm very passionate. So just stop me whenever you need to.
Oh, but that's true. And I'm glad that you talked about that, because your success is you going in it and hitting the ground running, and not trying to figure it out, but just going. And I love that. Now, did you deal with a lot of adversity coming into this? I mean, you are a self-established entrepreneur.
Oh yeah. I mean, so my other favorite line is adversity breeds abundance. I mean, I have had continual adversity my entire life, single mom, all the things lining up to like, you should not be successful. And I have done everything but, so like if they said, hey, you should be the bottom 10% of your class, you came from this neighborhood, you came from a single broken home, you did this, you did that. I was like, yeah, that's exactly why I'm going to blow y'all out of the water. Like, it was absolutely a push for me to just rise above, rise above, rise above. It actually fueled my insanity, to be honest. I mean, I feel like it fueled my entrepreneurial insanity for sure, because I was constantly proving to myself that I could do it. I didn't care if anybody else thought I could do it. I knew I could do it. And that was kind of what continued to fuel me. And it wasn't an ego thing. It was honestly, for me, I was like, I'm not living this way. I'm not struggling my whole life. I don't want to be in this situation. I want to be able to do what I want to do. I want to have at that time, like whatever jeans were, Edwin's, I don't know what, 80s I'm talking, right, guys? Like,
Bongo.
I know, but I wanted all the things. And my mom could give us the basics, right? And we had a house. We always had, she worked 3 jobs. She made sure, she could do everything she could for us. But we couldn't have all the things. It just wasn't possible, right? My grandparents definitely helped, like bought my prom dress, for example, things that like we couldn't otherwise have had. But I was like, there's no way I am going to be in a very different situation. And I saw that all the time. I kept fueling like this, I don't know, is this inner crazy fuel? People talk about entrepreneurs have this like crazy fuel inside of them. I can't really explain it, but it is just something that pushes me every single day. Like, I don't have to work right now. I could sit at home, do nothing, drive my husband insane. The last time I retired, he was like, please find a job, please do something. He's like, we're all getting fat. All you're doing is cooking and going to the gym. He's like, is there any, you're driving us nuts. And I'm like, yeah. So my personality is I'm super giving and super generous, and it fills my heart to be able to add value. And so if I'm just at home and I'm not able to like exercise all this energy, I don't feel good for me or for anyone else. Right. And so I think my husband, we've been together 20 years in August, but he really realizes and fuels me to continue to push myself, because he knows that's where I'm happiest.
So I'm going to jump in, Julie.
Yeah.
So our values are to grow personally, spiritually, professionally, etc. What does that mean to you, and how do you prioritize those things?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a super loaded question. And we talked about that before, right? And so,
but you got the energy, yo.
yeah. No, I'm all good. So I think, I guess I have to break it down a little bit. So for me, I think that dedicating, whatever it is that you need to fuel yourself forward. And that's going to be different for everyone, right? Because our buckets are all different. I mean, what fuels me might not have any interest for you, but I do feel like you need to have the buckets that fill and fuel you in order for you to continue. So if it's spirituality, if it's religion, or if it's spirituality, or if it's connection of some sort, we were talking about on another call, spirituality to me means so much, right? It's such an open universe question for me. So I don't really go there in terms of the religious or non aspect. What I feel like is I'm all about karma and being a good human. And so it doesn't mean you don't have to be a nice human, but you have to be a good human. There's a difference. Being nice is a lot of times you get taken advantage of and you're not standing your ground. I am all about integrity, transparency, and standing my ground for things that I 100% believe in. I'm 50 years old. I don't need friends. I'm good. Like, I don't need people that aren't on the same track as me. I am at the point now in my life where if you're in and along for the ride, you believe in my mission, vision, values. We have mission, vision, values for our family. We wake up every day and it's a huge plaque on the front door that says, like, we are committed to travel. We are committed to, having classrooms without doors. We are committed to increasing tolerance and being really good humans and all those pieces, right? So when you're talking to your children, when you're doing these things, when you're with your friends, if you're not in groups that level you up, you're going to constantly be static. Okay. So we just are constantly fueling ourselves with better people, better situations. Same with our children. Like, we're constantly exposing them to different cultures. One of our big family things, I think, I have to say it because I'm super committed to it, but we're doing all the continents with the kids. Okay. And so we're almost done. My oldest is 19. I'll be 50 in December, and we finished December 28th. My birthday is December 29th, but we have done all the continents, Africa, like everywhere. The amount of information, knowledge, acceptance, ideas, open-mindedness of my children due to that travel has been insurmountable. Honestly, the stuff we're committed and dedicated to is on a higher level. We just feel like, we have to push ourselves constantly to be the best people we can be. And I think that involves a lot of things: personally, professionally, spiritually. Professionally, get a mentor, go all in. Sometimes start before you think you know what you're doing. I mean, oftentimes people are waiting, right? Just start somewhere. Just do something. Non-action is your biggest inhibitor in business, in life. People that don't take action get stuck where they're at, and they will not move forward. The biggest fear for people is taking action. And so if you don't take action, you are going to remain where you're at, period.
110%. Somebody, I was on a call today and somebody said to me, I think it was Teddy Molman, I was doing a chat, and he goes, "You build the plane while you're flying," or something along those lines. And I wrote it down, and I'm like, that's so true. Like, you don't wait till you have all of your shit together. You're taking action. You're doing it scared and going. You're doing it as you're, in the journey. So
yeah, if you wait to take action, you'll never take action. If you wait to know all the things, I mean, I still don't know all the things. Last year, I spent upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars on mentorships. Okay, guys, like, I keep doing this. I'm committed to leveling myself up personally, professionally, spiritually, because I also think, one, it doesn't only benefit me, benefits my family, benefits our friends, benefits anyone that any information I have. I'm a super sharer. You'll know that about me right away. If I know something, I want to tell everybody. I want you to avoid the costly mistakes. I want you to think about what you're doing. If I've already done it and it's not been a good idea, I'm going to be like, hey guys, this is why I wouldn't do that. This is what happened to us. And if I can save you money, time, resources, whatever it is, sometimes it's not always about money, guys, right? It could just be about really costly mistakes emotionally. It could be costly mistakes to your family, to your situation. You have to be okay with constantly putting yourself in situations that's going to help you rise, learning, listening to others, reading. I read, oh my gosh, I don't even know. Sometimes I have 10 books going at once. I'm an information seeker. I constantly am in books. I'm constantly reading, even if it's 2 pages in the morning. I do gratitude practice. My routines are super disciplined. I wake up, I do something called Savers. It's by Hal Elrod. Yeah, he's awesome.
Love it. Miracle morning.
I start with gratitude. I thank whoever it is that you believe in, for where you're at, for the generosity you've been bred, and for what you can bring to others. I mean, I do this every day. We tell our children this too. They write their journals. It's all a practice of being a good human again. Like, it's all the pieces. You can't just be a good human because, you know, you have money or because you have a good mindset. All the things are important in moving you forward, but you have to be whole, right? You have to be whole. And being whole means also taking care of yourself and putting yourself first. I'm a mom of 4 kids. Oftentimes I'm the last one, right? Like, make sure they're fed, make sure, I mean, I was just telling you today how my morning went, right? But it is really important to take that time, even if it's 5 minutes in the morning, where I'm like, whoo, my husband gets my Starbucks every morning. I'm a little spoiled. He brings it to me. I don't get out of bed until I do all my stuff, right? And then I start my day, and then it's boom, 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 crazy all day. But for that 5 or 10 minutes, I am reveling in all the gratitude. I'm thinking about my day. I always write 3 most important things that I need for my day to get done, because I could be all over the place. So it's important to be structured, but yeah, grow personally, professionally, and spiritually through many different avenues, I think.
I love it. And since all of us are investors, and majority of it, or I would say majority of us are investors and are in real estate, help us understand how cash flow, appreciation, and investing in real estate, whether it's multifamily, triple net, et cetera, how does that impact our future wealth? How do we grow? How does that grow our wealth?
Well, yeah, I mean, generational wealth is key, right? And so I think there's a few things to this. I just had a podcast with Dr. Slava. I don't know if you guys know him, but anyways,
Yes.
the same question. He was like, Julie, like, you sold all these businesses. Like, how did you know what to do? You know, I said, oh man, I made all the mistakes. We bought Ferraris. We did all the things. We bought all the liabilities. And then we learned that that was not the road we should be on. And we were like, oh my gosh, okay. I bought my husband a Ferrari for his 40th birthday. He like nearly killed me. He thought it was the worst idea ever. I thought it was a great idea at the time. Anyway, it didn't last. What I'm saying is that you will make mistakes. It's inevitable. You're not going to be perfect. I'm not a perfect human being. I'm learning every day. And that's what I'm proud of, right? If I get better by like 1 inch every day, I'm happy. But what I want to say is, we changed our mindset about money. So we had money trauma. We had generational money trauma. One, because we didn't have it, right? And so we were like, oh my God, we need all these liabilities to make us, you know, to make us feel good. Liabilities don't make you feel good. They make you feel shitty, but you don't realize that until you have them. Okay. You feel like you need them. Then when you have them, you're like, oh God, what do we have all this shit for? Like, sorry. So what we had to do is
It's fine, Julie.
well, you know me with my language. I'm really trying to be good here.
She says that, and then she says sorry. Like, you can't be mad about that.
Sorry. That's a part of being Canadian. But
we're all grown women here.
Plug your ears, y'all.
Okay. So, but what I'm going to say is this: we had to change our money mindset. We came from what we call money trauma. It's not really trauma, but it is definitely something in your past that prohibits movement in the future. Okay. So money trauma to me was, my mom was a single mom who was save. She came from parents from a depression. Save. We may not have, we haven't seen, we have had not, right? This mindset of scarcity was abundant in both of our backgrounds. My husband's mom came from Hawaii, you know, like a lot of struggle with money in terms of like, they just didn't have a lot, right? And so when you come from we call money trauma, but it's not trauma. It's actually really great because you can really build on it if you use the right mindset. We came from this mindset of you have to save because you will have not, right? There's going to be a day where you're going to lose everything. This was the conversation in our house all the time. You're not going to have that. What's going to happen, Julie, if something happens? You're not going to have that money. It's constant. So it's in your mind, no matter what you do, it's there, right? You have to break free from this chain. So what we finally said was, you know what? We have to stop saving and we have to start investing, because our savings aren't doing anything. It's losing value in the bank. We end up buying shit, period, because it's there. We're not using it. So you start buying liabilities. Those liabilities aren't creating any wealth for you. Then we stopped buying liabilities. If it didn't cash flow, we were like, okay, we're not buying it. That's a huge thing. That's a huge mindset step. And it's also a huge change in thinking. And your partner's got to be on board, because if one of you is buying all the liabilities, the other one can't make the assets out of them, right? So we had to start this thinking and this mindset. And we literally tell our kids too, you're not buying a house. Hell no. You're going to buy a fourplex. You're going to live in it. All three of your friends are going to pay your rent, but you are not buying a house. We are not following this American dream. This American dream doesn't exist. The American dream is for the bank, folks. I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to talk to you straight. What we're seeing now is a generation that is in massive amounts of debt, cannot afford anything because they have all of this American dream, which whose dream is it? It's the bank's dream. Who wants a 50-year mortgage? You can't afford a house if you need a 50-year mortgage. I'm sorry. These are things that no one's talking about, right? You instead get a fourplex. You're a first-time home buyer. It's an income producing asset. You're going to be living for free. I mean, there's so many things, right, that you have to learn along the way. But yes, as an investor now, and with the mindset we have now, stop buying liabilities. That's your very first thing, because you can't save, or you don't have any money to invest if you keep buying liabilities. 2, change your mind about the American dream. Is it the dream? Is it your dream? Is it their dream? Whose dream is it, right? Let's think about that. And then thirdly, I think we have to think about where we're going with money. Where do we want to be and how are we going to get there, right? And so I think those are the most important things that we have to start with. And then there's a lot of things that we can springboard from that. Obviously, what asset classes do you want? What avatar do you want to invest in? Who is your perfect investor? Who can you add value to? Who do you align with? So we always start with who's in alignment with us, right? What is our mission, vision, value? First, you have to define that. Like, so what is your mission? Who are you doing this for? What do you want? Where do you want to go with this? What type of values are important to you? For us, integrity and transparency are key. It's a non-negotiable. So if we have people with us or around us and those two things are not there, they're done. We move on. There's no mistakes for us. Like, so I feel like create an avatar of a GP or an investor or who you'd like to work with or be, and also who your perfect investor is, right? Like, is your investor a mom with kids who's middle-aged? Create this avatar, and that's who you go after. Don't try to go after everyone. Everyone are not your people. Everyone are not your people. I know I had a really hard time with that. I want to help everybody, right? So I'm like, no, everybody has to be my people. Everybody's not your people, and all money's not good money. Sometimes the money that's coming your way isn't the best money. So there's a lot of things here to think about, guys. Integrity, transparency, make sure to keep yourself in the right lane. No matter what that looks like, don't give up your non-negotiables for anyone, because at the end of the day, this is a long game and your reputation matters.
And I'm so glad you said that, Julie. And Liz, I promise there's time for questions. I see your hand up, cutie pie. But I'm going to bridge off that now. So what makes an exceptional sponsorship team? Because people market all over the frickin' place. Be a GP before I think people are even fully ready. So can you elaborate on that?
I think it's hard. There's a lot. This is probably a whole topic, honestly. And I teach a lot about how to choose the right GP team and how to choose the right GP period. But I think there's a lot of things. So I think, one, are you in alignment? That's the very first thing. Like, are you both going in the same direction? Does your GP have integrity? Are they transparent? How's their communication? How do they talk to people? How do they deliver news? Do they deliver news? Do they only deliver good news? Do they deliver bad news? And if they're delivering bad news, how are they delivering it? Are they solution-based? Are they problem-based? How do they deal with issues that arise? For me, transparency is number one. Like, just tell it to me straight. If we're having a bad time here, just tell me and let's figure this out. I don't want surprises. I don't like surprises. I'm just not a surprise kind of gal. So don't surprise me. It's not fun to be surprised in anything. I don't like even people jumping behind me. So I'm not a surprise kind of girl. I want to know what I'm getting into, right? I want to be sure that I feel confident and comfortable with you. Honestly, for me, I do believe that the entrepreneurial journey is really advantageous in a GP, not because it's me, but I do feel like we have to be solution-based. We have a lot of adversity that comes, to us on a daily. I had like 300 and some staff there. It was constant, right? I think personality types matter. How do they deal with and manage situations and people? How do they talk to people? How do they manage people in general? How do they manage emergencies? These are all things that like lots of folks don't talk about all these pieces. They're just like, oh, I like this GP. She's super nice. I'm like, great. Nice is not going to get you anywhere if the situation goes sideways, right? So like important to know experience, right? What kind of experience do they have in the field? Do they have business experience? If not, do they have support around those measures? Do they have someone analyzing the whatever, the P&Ls, the accounting, who's managing the day-to-day, how are they managing the PM team, right? Are they on their property management? Is anyone boots on the ground? If there's not, who are they getting their communication from? Do they have an L10 meeting every month? Which if you all don't know, like EOS or traction, for me, if I can't be somewhere, I need somebody to be there so I can get the information I need, right? So who's doing that for that GP team? If they're not boots on the ground. I'm not usually boots on the ground for a lot of our stuff. So I have people there that can relay information to me weekly. We have weekly meetings on all of the things. Are they having weekly meetings? Are you invited? Trust me, lots of GPs, they want you on your team for the money. And then that's it. You're checked out. You don't have anything to do with them after. That's not my deal. I want to know. I want to be involved. I want to be the best conduit for my investors that I can be. And if I don't know the information, I can't do that. So that really stresses me out. If I'm a GP and I bring my investors in, I'm always bringing my own money, number one. If I'm not in the deal with my own money, then my investors know that. And I have not been in anything yet that my money's not in. I feel committed to bringing my investors to something that I 110% believe in. Again, I'm telling you, I'm 110% kind of girl. I'm not a middle ground, right? If I'm in, I'm all in, and I'm in because I want to make it work and I believe in it and I know I love it. So I think there's a lot of things, when you're looking for a GP team, there's a lot of things out there right now that are like, hey, be a GP, make $900,000 a year. It's bullshit. I've never made $900,000 from a freaking GP deal in my life, never mind one GP deal. And they put this chart up there like, oh, here's how to be a GP. That's not real life, guys. Like that's not how you be a GP. And that's definitely not the payment structure. And I'm going to tell you something even more honest, because we're all on here being honest. I'm a GP in a lot of deals. If I get paid, I want to be paid last. I want to be paid after all my investors make their money. Because guess what? At the end of the day, this is a long-term play for us, right? This is building our family's wealth alongside our partners with them. Right? These are partners for us. So a couple things about that. We're doing a deal right now. We can talk about it or not. It doesn't matter to me. Why I'm bringing it up though, is because we are the only ones in this industry doing a 90-10 split. We want the LP to get as much money as they can on the front end. We don't charge an acquisition fee. We don't charge an asset management fee at the front. You know why? I haven't done anything. Why should I get paid and I haven't done anything yet? Yes, I found the deal. Okay, big deal. Then what? If you can't keep this thing going, what's the point? So for me, we take a 2% disposition fee at the end after all my investors have made their money. I really, truly, I'm confident and I feel good about offering that because I'm 110% committed and everything's figure outable, right? So if I'm committed at 110%, I'm not worried about the 2% on the end. I know what's going to happen.
And I'm going to jump in, Liz, sorry, Julie. I'm looking at Julie.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to put my 2 cents out here because I attend a shit ton of webinars. I'm on a lot of podcasts and I've been networking like a mofo left and right. And I've had multiple partnerships. So with that background, I am working a deal with Julie and she's the real deal. And I remember wondering like, okay, Julie's so fabulous. Like, I want to see like how she does shit. Right. And now that her and I are partnered on stuff, I have spoken with her investors. I have spoken with other people who've worked with her. And now to be partnered with her on the learning center that I'm sure you guys have seen me slam social media with and my newsletter with, She's the real deal, y'all. Her communication is on point. I always know where she stands. I need something, she's on it. There's no waiting for shit. Hey, I need this. I need meat on the pitch check. Boom, it's done, 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 done. She's communicating. She's clear. She's transparent. Brooke, here's this. Here's this. What else do you need? Her ass is another version of myself. And I think that's why I connect with her so quickly, because so many other people I have partnered with, that's why I only partnered with Massive Capital. Massive is phenomenal for multifamily. Julie slays triple net. And other people I have partnered with, I hear shit that goes on behind closed doors, and not everybody is who they say they are, y'all. And you know who you are. Quit faking the funk. I can say my partnership with Massive Capital and Julie Roy, what you see is what you get, okay? Julie is everything she says is 110% accurate now that I'm more behind the scenes with her. So what she says is effing gold, and I can speak to it and put my name on it because she's not bullshitting y'all like half these mofos out here are doing. So I just wanted to leave it at that.
No,
Well,
but
I
I
also
think this
think
is why it's so important to be an LP first, because that's even how you started, Julie. Like you start building the relationships, you start investing your money in somebody else, because eventually then you partner and then you decide who you want to partner up, or what you say, like, okay, this is not gonna work. So you tell us a little bit about that. And
so quickly, I'll tell you, because I know either you want room for questions and we're at 1:44. So I'm trying to be really cognizant of all your time. But again, there's my structured part of me. But so I was an LP in a lot of different deals. I'll tell you a few things. You don't really know people until you're in bed with them in a deal. I LP'd for a lot of folks. I did $1 million in LP last year. Okay. So, I mean, this is not just me talking out of nowhere. I'm being 100% like transparent. And, I want to let you know that, you know, what's promised, the performas, all the stuff that's happening, guys, just be super cautious. Performas are there for a reason. They're a great educated guess. Some of my LPs have been incredible and have done amazingly well. And some of them with some really big folks have not, and have had capital calls of $5 million plus, lots of things going on, right? So, and it's okay. It's part of the investment journey. But what I wanted to tell you is really look into what you're doing. Look into the GPs, look into the experience, vet your GP, look into the deal, get somebody else to underwrite it. We had 2 people underwrite all of our deals on top of, you know, ourselves. And 1 professional person, like an accountant, CPA, whatever, underwrite the deal as well to find any holes that we can. If you're going to be a GP as well, do the same thing. I mean, any deal that we've gotten into that we brought anybody of our own folks in, we absolutely vetted that deal upside down. And we can't control everything. And I realize that, but you really have to be, you are the conduit to your investor. Your investor is your entire business. Okay. Your investor has to be number 1. I don't give a shit about what you're doing with your money. This is not your money. Right. You are responsible for these people's livelihoods. Some of them, entire savings. It's not to be taken lightly. I see a lot of bullshit happening around this stuff. It really annoys me because I feel 100%, 110% in my heart that we have to be so conscientious. If you think you're conscientious and you're super strict and you're super thorough with your money, you need to be 100 times that with anyone else's. It is not your money. Do you understand? So like the thing that I can say the most is do not take this lightly. Being a GP means being all in 110%. You have to know what you're selling, know what you're getting into, know the repercussions, be transparent with everybody. Don't just sell deals. That's not the way you're going to move forward here. Add value for people, solve a problem for them. For us, our problem was we had a huge tax bill. We got into multifamily because our triple net was making us too much money. I'm gonna be 100% honest here. I got into multifamily to eradicate the tax. I was able to do that last year. All the deals aren't doing 100%, but that for me solved a problem. It was gonna go to the government or it was gonna go to these multifamily deals. So there's a risk. Every time I sold any of those deals or a position in any of those deals or partnered with anyone, I told them all the things. I mean, I have people on here that are partners with me that can tell you. And if you need me, I don't avoid your calls. I don't avoid your texts. I get on it. I put you in contact with who you need. I don't bullshit. And I don't think anybody on this call should. If you're going to be a GP, you better be a good human. You better be out there. You better put yourself out
I
there.
agree 100%, Julie. And we've got a question that came in a lot earlier, and I just want to make sure it gets answered. Somebody had put in the chat very early on, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give to young couples that are starting a business together?
Couples. So that's probably that's a whole nother day, but I will give you a really quick thing. People always say, make sure you're separating your home life and your business life. It's bullshit. You can't do that. It's impossible. Your home life is your business life. People keep saying, oh, make sure you stay in your lane at home. What? No, it is intertwined all day long. Bo hears texts from me all day long about business. We intertwine personal stuff into it, but there's no, you stay in your lane. Sure. We have, what we call assets. So his assets are all the background stuff, the underwriting. He's super financial, super doctory. I'm super creative, super entrepreneurial, right? So we have our, what we would call our assets in the relationship, but we cross all the time. People are like, well, you gotta stay in your lane. No, you can't. Oftentimes you need to be supportive, intuitive. You need to know what that other person needs. You need to be thinking ahead. You have to think, okay, Julie has this going on today. I'm going to take the kids and manage this so she can get this done, because our goal is unified. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, there's not one lane. Our goal is unified. We have one road we're going down together. And if we want to get to the end game, we have to do this by really making sure we're on the same vibe. So I would say, if you're a new couple going into business, get on the same vibe. Make sure your goal is the same. Oftentimes I see couples and they're like, yeah, I want to do this. And then the wife's like, oh, and I want to be over here. I'm like, oh, I see this total divergence of goals. And I'm like, you guys are not going to make this. This is not going to work, because if you're not unified and you're not going on the same track, I mean, have you ever seen that happen to people? It doesn't work out, right?
100%, Julie.
So I would say that would be my best advice. Get unified, get goal driven together and make sure it's the same goal. I think that's the most important thing. And then, 110% put all of what you've got to get to that goal together, and really just support each other, support. And that means when you're having a shitty day and you need to say, hey, Bo, today I am just overwhelmed. I can't do it today. I need help. And you have to ask for help. And that person's like, I got you, girl. You do you today. I got this. Don't worry about anything else. You need that person to be there and to do that for you. So
I appreciate that. I appreciate it, because my husband and I have been together 27 years, married 23. So appreciate you sharing that, because we are yin and yang, and I hear you, girl. Now Liz had her hand up and was patiently waiting for Q&A. So if you want to unmute yourself, Liz, please do so and answer.
Right before Liz, if anyone else has any questions, I know I've seen some in the chat, please raise your hand. We'd love to hear you ask them. If not, we'll ask them for you, but it's cooler if you do it. So go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, hi, this is fantastic, Julie, amazing. So let me think. Okay, so real quickly, I read a book recently called The Case Against Higher Education, and I was curious if you're going to send your kids to college or bring them in.
This is so awesome. So I love you, and I don't know why, but you caught my vibe. I keep catching you here, and I keep being drawn to you for some reason. I don't know why, but I always seem to have one person that just catches my vibe. So anyways, thanks for catching my vibe on here today. So here's where we stand on formal education. We don't want to choose for our children, because we don't want it to be our choice. So what we've said to them is this. Here's what the options are. You can choose formal education. You can do this, you can do that. So far, we have 4. 2 are going to college. One's in college. He's in business. He's at the Warren Buffett UNL program for business administration. He's taking accounting, marketing, all the things. My other one is on a medical track, 4.6 average, $175,000 scholarship and bursary. So he obviously got my husband's brain, the Hawaiian side. He's very mathematical. My first one is me. He's actually so much like me that we're like constant. So he's super entrepreneurial. He wants all the business things. He wants to be 29, right? So I said to him, listen, Zev, here's the option. I don't care if you don't go to college, but if you're not going to college, you're going to work. Okay. So this is, these are the options you have. We can absolutely support your dream to go to college if that's your dream. And he's like, I don't know. Like, I don't really know. Like he doesn't really know what his dream is, whatever. He's got good grades, but it's kind of like, hey, I'm getting through the motions. He's not super passionate about it. Okay. So I said, look, if you're going to go to college, don't take no, stuff that's not going to help you in life. He loves our lifestyle. He sees what we're doing. He's at Grant Cardone's. Grant Cardone's my personal coach. I pay him personally. Brad Sumrock, I have as a personal coach. I have a ton of personal coach. I bring Xavier to everything Cardone. He's been to business summits. He's been to he's diamond seats. Like, I mean, I put him up in front and center and I pay for him. And I say, look, this is why we're doing this, because we want you to be open to all of this idea and philosophy and ideology outside the system. We know schools create sheep. Our children aren't sheep. I know that. Our children don't like to, they're kind of like me. They don't like to follow the line, especially him. I think I have 2 and 2, to be honest, but he is very entrepreneurial. So I said to him, if you're going to go to college, let's take some stuff we can use in business. Cause I know he wants to own his own business. He doesn't know what he wants to do yet. So he's taking accounting. He's taking all those things that will help him. Right. Am I for college? I could take it or leave it. If he went, I said, what you should do is just go work for Grant. Like, go there, start learning sales, go work for Grant. That's going to be 100 times better for you. But I do worry as a mom of an 18-year-old to send him to Miami. Know what I'm saying? So I'm like, look, if you want to take a couple of years and do some, beginner accounting courses, things like that, just to get a background, I fully support whatever he wants to do. He's mature enough to go to Grant tomorrow. And I'm sure like he'd get a job. He would do well because he'll put everything to it, but I want it to be his decision. And so, yeah. Am I about college? My college degree did not make me a millionaire. I'll tell you that right now. And the people are like, oh, but it taught you critical thinking. Nope. Taught me how to drink. Yep.
Love that. Love that. Taught me how to drink.
I'm telling you, I had an amazing time and I met some incredible people that were friends, but like, we don't hang out anymore. I mean, we're all in a different path. I took Soc and Psych, guys, like, come on, like it's great. And I know how to read people, but like I didn't get taught that in school either. So like all the things at the end of the day, I don't have an MBA. I started my MBA and I was like, I don't need this. It's not, honestly, they were teaching me all the things. So this is a good example of my college. I guess my ideology around college. So my son came home from college about a month in and he's like, Mom, my college professors don't know anything about business. And I'm like, okay, tell me more. Cause like, I wanted to understand this stuff on his own. I could tell him everything, but you have to learn on your own. So he said, Mom, he's saying like, you shouldn't have debt. You shouldn't invest. You shouldn't do this. And I said, ask him how much he made this year. And then, so he's like, Mom, if I do that, I'm going to get kicked out of school. I said, right. So when you want to learn from people that you want to get to. So if you want to be Grant Cardone, you're not going to go, like, college isn't going to teach you that. The people in college are there for the ideology. And I'm not saying anything against professors. I think they have a role and there's things that they need to do for certain type of folks. For my kids that are going to ask questions and push boundaries, maybe college isn't the best situation for them, but they have to figure that out on their own. So when he came home and he said, man, my mom's a millionaire. And he said to the professor, he didn't tell him, but he said, this is what I wanted to tell him, Mom. I wanted to say, I think you should ask my mom for help. So I was like, oh no, glad you didn't do that. But do you see what I'm saying? I think that at the end of the day, college can be for folks, medical professionals. Absolutely. You need to learn the stuff to, you can't operate on people without college. I mean, I would not want a doctor without a medical degree. I wouldn't want a lawyer representing me that didn't know the statutes. I wouldn't want, so there is a place and a space for everything. Do I believe that college is the only way? Hell no. I mean, absolutely not. I would much rather invest in Cardone and sales training and negotiation skills and people skills and Dale Carnegie and the power of positive thinking and mindset courses and Ed Milet and Jesse Itzler programs. I mean, my kids are in everything, right? I mean, they're in financial literacy courses. I would rather put,
share my experience first of all. Oh, there you go. Julie is such an amazing woman. Like the first time I encountered her, like really blew my mind, because let me tell you what happened. I just wanted to share my Julie story, Julie, because
Oh God.
I love it so much. Okay, so I was new to multifamily. I just got started, got into a mentorship program, and then I was like, all right, rallying the troops, and I was like, I was gonna do a webinar, right? I volunteered. I said, I don't know jack shit about doing a webinar, and then I said I have to have a guest. And then I was looking on the WhatsApp chat, and then I saw Julie. She popped up, and she was like, "We just closed on a multifamily. They just closed on a syndication. This was like, was it December? Like towards the end of the year." Yeah, and I messaged her randomly, right? I was like, "Hey, Julie, my name is Rochelle." I introduced myself, and I said, "Hey, I wanted to give a talk to my peers, right? And I want to do a webinar for them, and I would like you to guess, if that's all right, to share your journey on how you get to close this property." Thinking that this lady is like a newbie like me, okay? So only to find out as she got on, like, by the way, it was last minute. I think it was the same day.
It was about an hour before, Rochelle.
Yeah, it was like an hour before. She's like, it's actually in an hour. And she so graciously said yes. How unselfish is that? Like, she's so generous of her time. I actually was taken aback. I was expecting her to say no, because it was like totally in an hour, and like out of the blue, did not know her, did not know her background, but I just saw that she was doing something great. And then she said yes. So she got on the webinar, and she was like, the stuff that she was talking about, like she sold businesses, she built businesses, and then everybody was so impressed. First, also, like everything that she said was like way beyond our heads, like at the time. And no, but you were she was so nice. Like you drove home the point that anybody can do it, and it was just very inspirational rather than intimidating, so she very approachable, and I love you for that, Julie. Like that is like one of my favorite moments in my multifamily journey, is meeting people like you.
I'm so glad
I could help.
I'm so glad you unmuted yourself and told us your story. That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I want to let everybody know how amazing she is. So my question after all that, so you're huge with investors, and this is what my mission, I finally found my mission, and this is to help healthcare professionals get into real estate. And I just realized, especially what you said, like my investors, I am responsible for my investors. So, and I feel the weight of that. So when I go to investors, letting them know of deals, right? And something goes wrong, have you had to deliver bad news? And then second of all, how did you go about it so that you don't lose their trust? And I guess, how do you soften the blow?
Yeah,
hopefully
so
not too bad.
knock on wood. I haven't had to deliver bad news yet. But I think there's a few things about this, like vetting the deal, vetting the people you're doing them with. Bad news is always something that might come up, right? Might be on the roster, but I feel like my transparency is what continues this open communication and dialogue with my investors. And so I seriously am 100% open. They can text me at 9 p.m. at night or 6 a.m. in the morning, and I literally will be like, yep, I'm on it. What do you need? How can I help? What do we need to do? I bug my GPs, like the leads. I'm always like, I need to know this. I need to know this information. My investors need to know. I'm the conduit for this information. Like I've had arguments and fights with my lead GPs. I really have. I mean, not in a good way. And I just say, if you can't involve me, I mean, I brought you in this money, I brought you in these investors, I'm responsible. I feel 110% committed to them. I need to know the information. I don't want them hearing it before I know it. I need to know the information, and I constantly am pushing them, constantly pushing them for information. Do they love me? Probably not. Probably why I won't get asked back for a lot of them, but it's okay. I'm okay with that. If you can't deal with me and what I need for my investors, then again, I'm not your people. You're not my people, whatever. Alignment, symbiotic relationships with your GPs, making sure that you're valued, your investors are valued in the deal, and that you can be 100% sure that you know what you need to know to create the best outcome for them. And I will push that. I will fight that. I don't give a shit if they hate me. At the end of the day, my responsibility is to them. And if something happens, like, that's why I'm in the deals with my own money, because I feel like if we're in this, we're 100% in this together. Like, if we're going down, the whole ship's going down, me included. I'm not going to stand on some, box floating in the ocean while everybody else under me is like, looking for a raft, right? So I really do think it's important. Like, if you're in, and you're in heart, mind, soul, like you're pushing for them every day. And like, I get emotional because I know how hard it is to have money. Like, and so if you have it and you're giving someone it and you're trusting someone with this money, sometimes it's their entire life, right? Like, this is what they have. And you have to be really, really positive, and you have to be out there constantly advocating. I would say that's the biggest thing. Advocate for your investors. And I'm super passionate about this. Like, you can't take it from me, like, yeah. So I don't know if that's advice or not, but it's like, it's all of me, it's in me. And like, I don't know how else to not be super passionate and emotional about it, I guess. Yeah.
Love that, Julie. Love that. And I know we always try to be very cognizant of time. It's right at the top of the hour. We do have one more question. Maria, I think we can go ahead and ask this question and hopefully wrap up. And then Maria is gonna give just some of the wrap up stuff.
No, go ahead. Go ahead with the last question, Candace.
Yeah, Faith had asked, she was just being completely transparent, like 100%, because we're all real. And she said, I don't have experience or capital right now, but I'm all in to be successful in multifamily. And she's just basically asking, how do I get on or, added into or work with and experienced partners? And how does she be of value so that they want her to be part of the team?
Yeah. And so I think I saw in the chat, she had said, I just want to check. Okay. So she said that she loves people and she's excellent with organizational skills. So I would absolutely see, okay, what could I bring of value to a team? Maybe in the beginning, it's investor relations or helping the GP organize, create relationships. I think when you're looking at being a GP, a lot of folks are like, oh, they're thinking about what percentage, what am I going to get for being a GP? I think that's the wrong way to look at it. Honestly, I feel like if you want to be a GP and you want to learn and you want to actually be of value, bring your skill set to the plate and say, hey, I'm willing to do this for nothing. I want to come in and I want to learn. Like, I did that. I went in and I was like, what do you need from me? How can I help? What can we do? Come in and just learn, be in there, be in the room with these folks, right? I always bring 1 or 2 new GPs in every deal. And my next deal, I actually want to do just all females. That's just something I want to do. So that's just a thing for me. So because it is a very male dominated world, especially in the investment space. And if there's any guys on here, I'm sorry, but I'm being real. Also, I'm a real estate agent, but I don't practice. But I got into it because when I was buying my own triple nets, I wanted to get the commission like myself. Why was I giving it to this 50-year-old guy who didn't do anything for me, right? So I was like, so at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing is bring value. And so if you're good with people and you said like you're really organized, be an assistant maybe for a GP. Like my VA is organized. I am all forest. She's all trees. Like, bring something that the GP needs, right? I always say we have like a quadrant, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And so 1 is what I absolutely love to do. I don't really need any help with, right? Number 2 is what I like to do and can do without a problem. 3 is like, I don't like this and I'm not good at it. And 4 is like, I hate this. I need it off my plate. Ask those GPs, what's your number 4? Like, what is it that you absolutely hate and you want to get off your plate? Can I do that for you? Can I help? Can I be of value in number 3 or 4, right? In this quadrant of like what we call, it's like a skill thing, right? I forget what the actual name is right now, but it's basically like your strengths versus what you could use help with, right? And so I always say like my 1 and 2s, I don't really need help with, right? But if you are not organized and you could use people that are detail oriented, and that's your 3 and 4, Faith, if that's where where you're like, shining, you say, hey, like my strengths are this. What do you think you need? Can I align with that? Am I helpful to you? I'll do this, just tell me what I need to do and start getting in the rooms. I think the hardest things, there's two most challenging things in being a GP. One is getting people to trust you and understand that you are going to be the best conduit of their money, right? Number one. Number two is, how do you create trust and show value in GP teams? So both those things that you're asking are things that are most typical when you're trying to break into a new GP team. So finding ways to add value, or even if it's, like I said, creating relationships for those investors, or whatever the value is that you can bring in, offering it without always asking for something in return, right? Because in the beginning, even with new GPs, they're like, oh, we can bring this, we can bring that. Most of the times they can't bring capital. They think they can. It's the most challenging thing on the earth to do for folks. You have to be okay with getting, said no to. There's a lot of negotiation skills you need. You also need to know what you're solving. If you're solving a problem, you have to know how to solve that. When you're a new GP, you don't really know that. There's a lot of things, right? So I think that being in the room, listening to the pitch, listening to what it is, how are we solving a problem? And everybody might have a different problem to solve, but you can sometimes solve that with the same deal if you know your investors, right? So putting time in, I mean, that's really, Faith, the only constructive advice I have is like, put your time in, get in the rooms with the right people, obviously get mentorship and all those pieces, but your best mentorship is going to be right here. Like
What
these
great
girls,
advice. Great advice.
these girls that are doing these deals and really pushing out stuff, get on their teams, even if it's on the sideline right now, right? Just get in there and create value.
Thank you, Julie, so much. I think we have more questions, but I do want to be cognizant of your time. The first time I ever had my mother-in-law invest was with Julie Roy, and it was because of how much I trusted her and how much her energy is all dedicated to her investors. And I hope that you all really captured that today, captured her spirit and captured how amazing of a person she truly is. And I want to aspire to act with my investors the way Julie acts with hers. And so I hope that you guys are going to do that yourself. She has a QR code. I know we haven't talked about it, but she has a QR code right next to her, and it's the best way to get in contact with her. She's writing a book. So if you want even more information from her, please follow, subscribe, get connected with Julie so that you can get the copy of the book when it releases. We are so incredibly thankful to have you here. And I know you guys don't want to miss another one of our calls. So we do have some links in the chat going up. So please do not miss these calls. We want to bring you truly inspiring women to help us all grow personally, professionally, and spiritually. So thank you again, Julie. We were so excited to have you, and I'll let you give your final thought.
Yeah, so no, I hate final thoughts because it's never final. But so what I will say is, if you need anything from me, reach out. I don't even know. I think the QR code gives you, I don't know, how to contact me or something like that, whatever. If you need me, just find me. I'm kind of in all the groups and in the circles, but I'm always happy to help. I'm in Hawaii for the month. We're home for 2 weeks. Then we're headed to Japan with the kids for 3 weeks. And so that's how we spend our summers, teaching, learning, and growing. And so, but I'm always available, literally, like I'm doing a Zoom while my kids are at the pool right now. Thank God for that 19-year-old. he's helping out this summer. But yeah, so I think inspirational thoughts I can leave you with is, 1, believe in yourself. If you don't, no one else will. 2, create a path for yourself with the end in mind. So I don't know if you haven't done that, really sketch out what do you want your future to look like, and how are you what's some steps that every day you're going to take to get you there, right? And so I feel like a lot of times we get distracted by bright, shiny objects. I'm super ADHD, so it's very easy for me to be all over. Keep yourself in your lane. Keep that end goal on a vision map, on your fridge, in your closet, I don't know, wherever on your mirror. Where do you want to be in this much time? How are you going to get there? And then if you don't know how to get there, that's okay too. But just have that end in mind so that at least you're focused on where you want to go. And I think lastly, just be a good human. I mean, at the end of the day, nothing else really matters. We're all going to leave this earth at some point. And I think that you need to be remembered for who you are and how you've helped people, not what you have, or what you've done. And it's this next half of my life for sure, because I'm going to be 50 this year, so I have at least half of life yet left. That's a whole other conversation, but I'm living to at least 100. So the next half of my life is dedicated to generosity, breeding abundance, giving as many people as I can help, and moving other people forward. And so just, get some real good goals for yourself and for those around you, and just put yourself in the right situations with the right people, and always have good intention. And yeah, just be a good human and have an amazing day and kick ass.
Thank you so much, Julie. I hope you all have enjoyed it as much as we have. We will not see you in 2 weeks because in 2 weeks is the 4th of July. So we will see you the following Tuesday on July 11th. We can't wait to be with you guys again. Please go out and change the world. We love you all, and we'll see you soon.